In the previous video, we saw how to download and install and activate Archicad. Now, in this video, we are going to start to create a new project so that we can see how the user interface is structured, and we're going to do like an introduction of the user interface, a panoramic view, an overview of what Archicad is and how it presents itself. Now, again, you can use Archicad for Windows and Mac, and you have different licenses like monthly or perpetual also. And these are the main two difference between Archicad and Revit. So they're both BIM software, building information modeling, but Archicad can be used also for Mac and has more options for the trial. Also, you have a 30 days trial or student version, teacher version, and so on. Now, these are topics were covered in the previous video. So in this video, we're gonna jump into the software. I'm gonna open up the new file here to see the interface. Now, you can also use this link here to get started, to access to sample projects, and I'm gonna show you later some sample projects. There you go. So you can go to download sample projects and you will find here some samples that you can use. So in this video, we're going to talk about the interface, the menus, the toolbars and panels and so on. So what we're going to do here is just start with a new project. So I'm going to click on new and we're going to start here with a template. Now templates in general and samples are really useful because they will give you the possibility not to start from zero. So you're gonna have like a set of tools and elements, design elements that you can already use without actually adjusting everything and setting up everything. So you can use this template. You can also browse if you have other templates installed on your computer. So we're gonna start just with this one here, and we're gonna leave this last profile use right down at the bottom. So let's create new and just wait for a few seconds. It's gonna give us here the details. And there you go. Now you saw all the toolbars and panels appearing, but then everything will be in the layout. So nothing is floating around. And so let's try to familiarize with the interface. Let's begin to know more Archicad. And these lessons will go step by step so that we're gonna increase the level of difficulty little by little. So also, for example, someone who never ever used any AutoCAD software or a CAD software or BIM software can actually understand. So if you are a little bit more expert, you can just skip and go ahead and go to the following lessons. Otherwise, we're gonna go and see the basics, and then after we're gonna increase the level. So we're gonna start from the real basics here. And first of all, the interface. Now the interface of Archicad sometimes, well, the first time could be a little bit overwhelming. You have a lot of icons and things here, you don't know what they are, but I guarantee that after like two or three lessons, you're gonna start to see everything in a different way. You're gonna understand better, and this is a lesson to do that. It's just to start to familiarize. Now in the you can see here in the middle we have the drawing view. So this is essentially when you can draw, where you can create your design elements. Now an important difference between a CAD application and a BIM application is that here we are not actually just designing and drawing and creating technical drawings, blueprints, but we are bringing in some elements that contain information. So this is why it's called building information modeling, because we model through information. We are not just creating drawings here. We are setting up a project that is going to have a set of data. It's going to have a database, and we can use those information data in the database to then manage everything really fast. So it's a little bit complex at the beginning if you don't really know what we're talking about, but don't worry, everything is going to be clearer later. So this is the kind of AutoCAD view, so where we can start to draw, but we're actually not drawing here, we're just placing elements and then we can modify them through the parameters. So it's kind of parametric modeling and parametric design. So I can go here, for example, the pillars, or columns, and I can get a pillar or a column. So let's get this round column. So I will click here, and this will get this object, this command, so to create a column. So when I click in the Canva here, in the blank, in the white paper or sheet, you can call this as you want, but this is actually just a view. Now I can see my pillar right there, my column. And again, it's different from AutoCAD or any other CAD application, because here I simultaneously create a 2D and a 3D and also information that can be retrieved later. For example, if I do a list or a schedule, I want to create like, I want to count all the columns that are in my project. I can do that real quick using schedules for elements or materials and surfaces and so on. So it's a really complex software here, and it's not only for drawing, but it's also for managing. It's a management tool essentially for architecture and engineering. So this is my column right here. Now if I move, you can see I already have, well, I want to close this. You can see I already have a 3D view, so I can switch from a view to the other here, and this is going to show me, and I'm scrolling in the scroll wheel, but I'm going to talk about navigation later. But you can see here I can change views, and I have here an elevation, so I can see my column in my elevation, in my 3D, and in my 2D. So it's not just like drawing in 2D, it's simultaneously creating different views, but the project is just one. So we only have one element, but is represented in many different ways. So this is the beauty of Archicad. You don't need to create many views. Everything will be updated. So if I, for example, move this column here, so if I select it with the selection tool, click and drag this column right here, this is going to be updated in all the other views. There you go. So this is why Archicad and building information modeling is so powerful. It's a little bit more complex at the beginning, but then it's gonna make you save a lot of time. Now, these are the views. So it's kind of the center, the core of our work. So where we will spend most of our time to view and design. And then let's see something more obvious. Now here you have the drop-down menus. Now the drop-down menus are like the most common thing. So you can find it in any software. So it's really easy for you probably to understand this. So here we'll find most of the commands. So the most important commands, like create a new file or open an existing project, or you can close the project right here. You can save it, Control S. Now these are the shortcut keys. So if you memorize these, you're gonna be fast. So you will be faster to do everything. And time is money, so it's important. So if I click on save here, I can start to save my first project, which is in PLN format, Archicad solo project. And I created a folder for this. So I'm just gonna navigate into the folder that I have created. So you can create your own, of course. So this is the folder here, and let's call this lesson 01. There we go. So we can save it, and now you can see the name at the top here. So every time you gonna do Control S or save, you're gonna overwrite this file. So if you want to create like a variant, or let's say that you want to save your steps by just moving forward, you can just go to file, and instead of doing save, you can do save as and give this another name. So this could be like lesson 01B, could be like another version, so an updated version. Otherwise, if you do Control S, you're gonna overwrite essentially. Now you have other really important operations here, but we're gonna talk about this later, like interoperability with other BIM software like Revit. You can use the IFC format to work with other people that don't use Archicad, or they don't even use BIM. You can use IFC, which is a format for interoperability. So working with other people that use Revit or other software. And then you can place external content You can place images here. You have libraries for materials and objects, so you have a lot of content that you can use. And when you finish, you're gonna plot or you're gonna print your project. You can export it as a JPEG or as a PDF or whatever, and then you can continue in other software. For example, if you want to like work on the aesthetics on the graphic design side, you can use Photoshop or whatever. So this is where you can basically create, save, and export. Now the other one, edit. This is for editing essentially. So the most common here is Control Z. So this is probably in every software out there. This is to go back. So undo and then redo, which is not Control Epsilon as usual, but it's Control Shift Z. So you can see all the shortcut keys represented right here. Also pretty common and basic are Control X to cut, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and also you find here to delete, but you can also use the delete key. So if I select this pillar that I have inserted with the arrow tool, so I can just click there and I can just press the delete key to delete it. Control Z to go back, Control Shift Z to go forward, and basically the column here is appearing and disappearing because this is what I'm doing here, just going back and forward in time. Now if you use Control C and then Control V, that's going to be pasted and you can move it. If you do Control X, that's going to be cut, and if you press Control V, it's going to be pasted somewhere, or you can just position. Just click with the left mouse to position that somewhere else. Okay, so pretty standard and basic operations and commands here. And here you have selections, you have grouping, you have aligning, distributing, a lot of different really important commands to manage your objects into the scene. Now the view menu here is to manage the view. So for example, this is a grid that I can display or not display, and then I have rulers and snaps. I can use the snaps to work more precisely and so on, but we're gonna see again this later, all of these in details. This is just an overview of the interface. Let's go to the next, which is gonna be design, and this is where you can add walls or beams or roofs and so on. So it's basically where you add content to your empty container, because right now it's basically empty. So we will fill it with these elements, which are also called families and categories in Revit or other software. And well, then we have a lot of different things here, but we're gonna see those later. Now, document, this is like more for annotation, so we can add views, we can add dimensions, and we can add fields and patterns and images and so on. So again, we're gonna be more specific later. Options, well, these are also interesting, especially the preferences, the project preferences, but we're gonna come back here later. And this is where you can manage the software also. Teamwork, this is to work, of course, with teams. And window, this is probably the first one that I'm gonna concentrate a little bit more, because this is actually the one that is managing the interface. So for example, if you don't see some of this stuff here, which is really important, like properties panel is really important down there, and this one here are to manage all the different drawings. So it's kind of a explorer or outliner of your scene. Now these are all important parts of the interface, and you will find them here. So you have toolbox, so you can also see the names here. So toolbox, you can see, is the toolbar on the left side, and it's really important because here also you can find all the different elements that you can add, and down here you have some sections and elevations and other drawings. Is really important part of the interface. And info box also, it's important. I use that a lot, and this is essentially where you find all the information and the options for what you need to do. This is like contextual to what you're doing. So if you're selecting, it's going to change. If you create a wall, it's going to change. You have all the options, so it's really, really important. And then you have the status bar at the bottom. Again, could be really important because it's going to give you like some tips and tricks, hints. So you can see there it's telling us to press and hold Control Shift. So depending on what you do, it's going to give you like some instructions or some indications. So also that is going to be really useful. Navigator, yeah, that's the right panel to navigate into your scene, to manage your scene through the different views. So you can see here I have stories, elevations, sections, 3D. So this is where you can have like other 3D views. So this will be like the generic perspective right here, which is already open. But if it wasn't open, if I can close here, I can open that view by just double clicking on the navigator here on the right side. And then you have other, again, managing panels we're gonna talk about more later. And let's go back here, and quick options down there could be of some use, and teamwork palette if you work in team. Now if you accidentally close some of these, here on window menu you can see close all other tabs and windows, and hide palettes and toolbars. So if you do something like that, and it's going to be really difficult to work here. So what you can do here is to go back, and well, the quickest way you can do is show palettes and toolbar. So remember that if you find yourself in trouble for that, you can always go back here to window, and this is essentially when you manage palettes and toolbars visualization. And you can also go to palettes and do show main palettes only if you think you like mess up everything, you want to go back to something useful and standard. Now you also have other palettes. So for example, if I click here, this is going to be another palette that I can use, and sometimes they can be docked, so you can dock them into the interface somewhere like that. And again, if something goes too far, too messy, you can go back and do show main palettes only. So it's kind of a default state. And you have also additional toolbars. So you have toolbars and palettes. And for example, let's do 3D visualization. So this is all the part concerning the 3D. So you can just click and drag, place it right there, and it's going to show up at the top. So you can leave it floating, you can click and drag in vertical, horizontal, you can place it whatever you want, you can customize it. You can also click and make it like, you can change the size if you click and drag. Okay. And well, that's basically it, but you have other options here. We're going to see them perhaps later. And then you have the help menu with resources that you can find, also templates. And again, we're going to see some templates also and samples later. Now, this is the main toolbar, which is right here is the standard toolbar. So if you uncheck this, it's going to disappear. If you want to retrieve it, just remember, go to Window, Toolbars, Standard, and also you can add and customize with more toolbars. So you have this left toolbar, which is more for bringing in objects, and this top toolbar, which is kind of like basic commands like undo, redo, and other stuff for the snap and other things we're gonna see later. Now the bottom part, this is the properties as well. It can be really helpful. So we can see, for example, here the information about this ground floor we're working on right now. And here on the bottom, you have some zoom settings. So you can use like the zoom 100%, or you can change it. And then you have the scale of the model, and the pen sets, other, let's say, visualization switch and settings. So that's it. This is the interface so far. Well, again, it's a really simplified introduction for you, for those of you who are just starting. So don't worry, we're gonna get into more details in the following lessons. This lesson here was just to, giving you the time to familiarize and start to know Archicad little by little, and always a little bit better. Now, if I go back in the start menu, now you can see I have the first two lessons. I can change here and the sorting, and I can change the visualization. I can see the details, or I can see the thumbnails, and nothing so fancy. You can see they're almost empty projects, but this is when you can retrieve. Essentially, you can start where you left off. Well, actually, I have now a better preview in 3D. And so I'm going to show you where you can get also samples that you can use to study the project. So if you click on this book down here and click on getting started in Archicad, you're going to go in the official website here again. If you scroll a little bit, you can look for the download sample projects page, and it's going to bring you here. And you can see you have many projects samples that you can download. Now, when you download them, you're gonna find them into your download folder. So you can open it up from here. I'm just gonna take that into my Archicad folder. So I'm gonna just right click, copy them, and manage everything in this folder. So I created a folder called templates, samples, and this is where I wanna place these two projects. Now I'm gonna go for this one here because it's a little bit smaller, because they're pretty heavy. They're gonna take some time to load. So I'm gonna use this project Villa Patio. And if I go here, instead of going to new, I will go to browse and search for the folder in my computer and the name here of the template that I wanna open up. So I'm gonna click on open, and it's gonna take, again, a few seconds or a few minutes depending on the power of your computer. So just be patient and wait. Okay, this is asking me for read elements directly from Archive. Let's say yes. Let's open up, and there you go. Now, also views are gonna take a while. Yeah, this is a kind of a documentation you can read, and here we have the ground floor. Now, since this is gonna be more complex, it's gonna take more time, but there you go. Look at how beautiful it is, and how, really clear and organized. So really beautiful. And this is an example, a better example of what Archicad can do for 2D drawings and also for 3Ds. But this is just, the tip of the iceberg. You can do a lot of really interesting renderings as well, architectural visualization. So this is a more complex 3D right here. And another thing you can do is to go to, let me just show you. So you can use the window here and show Windows overview. So these are all the windows that are open right now. So you can have, you can choose which one you can go to. And remember that this is just a single project. So if you see many different drawings, they all refer to one single project. So if I delete something in the plan view here, so let's say that I want to delete these front panels. So you can also go from right to left, click and drag your left mouse from right to left. It's gonna select everything that is gonna be touched by that. So if I delete this, let's delete everything here. Okay. So if I go in the 3D now, the ground floor front part has disappeared because everything is connected. Everything will be referring to the same database. We are working with information here, with database, not only with drawings. Drawings are just representations. So this is the advantage in using a BIM application instead of a CAD application, because in CAD I would probably need to go down drawing by drawing and changing everything drawing by drawing. Here I just delete an element. So if I click with the selection tool and delete that, you can see it already get rid of the opening on the roof, and that's going to disappear also in the, if I have a roof view or drawing, that is going to disappear from there as well. So you can see here, if I do Control Z, take that back, let's go back to the second floor here. There you go. So this is going to be visible. So whether I select it and move it or modify it or delete it, here or in another view is going to affect the whole project. So the project is one, but we have so many different types of representation, and they're all going to be simultaneously updated and changed. They're going to be, everything is going to be real time, as you saw, and everything is going to be adjusted accordingly to the modifications that you will do, or creation, or um, elimination of objects. So it's really amazing. It's a really an amazing step, an amazing evolution from the original CAD applications. And that's it. This is the interface of Archicad. This is going to be it for this introduction. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel and stay updated for more. Thanks. See you in the next.